voice as tool for communication. And we're going to also talk about, if the time permits, we will talk about the art of storytelling also. So how the art of storytelling helps us. Let me just open the presentation. I'm just sharing it. Now this is voice as a tool for communications. Now let's jump in straight with an example so that we can relate it well. Now when we think of, say, KBC and Amitabh Bachchan being there, I think it's totally magnanimity, the power of his voice that has taken KBC to a level. Not only KBC, but wherever he is, he has been able to use his voice as a tool to elevate his performance and communicate. And I don't know whether you know that there was a time when Mr. Amitabh Bachchan has even auditioned for Air India and he was not selected. He was rejected. Do you know this? Yes. Before becoming an actor, he has tried his hands or he has tried his luck in being a newsreader in Air India. Not Air India, what do you call that? I mean, radio. I think they used to call it something like that only. I'm not, I'm forgetting that name. Prasar Bharati or, something like that. Not Vivid Bharati, but yeah, Vivid Bharati. I think it was a part of that. Radio basically, because that time there was only radio. There were no TVs that time when probably he has been trying for it. TVs came later. TVs came somewhere in 80s. Before, people used to listen to only the radios. I mean, even the songs you used to get only on um, radios. And that time there used to be that he had heavy voice who used to enact a Gitmala. So now that again was a miracle of a voice as a tool. So when you have a good communication and you're able to also put your voice, hmm, All India Radio. I don't know why Air India thing was in my mind. So All India Radio. So he has been one of the participant in that, and he was rejected. It's in many of his interviews that he has confessed that yes, he wanted to be there. But anyways, later, now you know that voice has got such a miracle. It has got such a attraction that the whole COVID, all the messages were in his voice. Whole COVID, you have spent. Don't go outside. Be at home. Stay away. COVID. The whole message was in his voice. So, voice as a tool for communications. We have to use our voice as tool for communication. That's what I'm trying to emphasize here in this session of yours. Now, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. Now, this is a quote which you must have heard many times and is actually attributed to one of the psychologists called Albert, who suggested that actually 7% of the information in the speech is contained in words, and remaining 93% is made up in non-verbal communications. So 7%, now when we are talking about voice, we are actually working on this 7% part, trying to capture this 7% as well. Because when your voice is able to attract people, people do listen to you. But when your voice is not attractive, people stay away from you. They don't listen to you. If it is shrill voice, if it is a little noisy, people won't listen to that. You would have noticed here that she also said that in the current scenario, whenever we have our, we are getting into a new kind of a search mode for a job, people do check your voice with different softwares, and those voice softwares basically are checking your tonality and your voice as a brand. That is also utilized to select your resume or not to select. Have you heard of something called ATS, which is currently being used for scanning resumes? Application tracking system. These are ATS. Nowadays, what they say is your resume has to be ATS compatible. Your resume should find those words which the employer has set as keywords. If your resume does not have those keywords, your resume will not get shortlisted. It is much, much more scarier than what it is actually. Now, if somebody tracks your voice and somebody tracks your keywords, where do we stand? If we are not taking care of all those things, and we are not at all aware of these things. Because gone are those days when people used to, put the resume on and then they used to get shortlisted and interviews are interviews are scheduled. Now there is a rating. Your resume is 99% compatible with ATS, 40% compatible with ATS, 60% compatible with ATS. You must also be doing in as an HR person. Are you not doing this? But it is a trend. Oh, it's very much in news, sir. Very much there. And she herself is saying she's a TED speaker. Obviously, she will not make a mention like this. She has said that even the voice is being used to select people. And I understand it is quite sensible because in those cases where the voice is going to be the only factor to attract customers, definitely voice will be the main thing for them to decide. Say in hotels, when you are booking, you're in high profile hotels like, you know, uh, mm, Hilton and um, Meridian, all these hotels are, part of one of the brand chain. People are spending, huge amount of money just to stay there. I remember J.K. Rowling, the one who has written the Harry Potter book. She has written the book staying in a hotel. Now, when she will write in a hotel, obviously she will want the environment also to be like that. But if she is now imagine that she is trying to book the accommodation and she is talking to the hotel manager or the relationship customer relationship manager. If the voice is not good and it's not really attractive, communication just cannot happen. You have one or the other reason, actually. You have one or the other reason to qualify or disqualify a thing. Yeah. So emotions do play a lot of role. And voice, as she said, normally we don't like to hear our voice, but then we have to love our voice actually. We have to love our voice. I don't know how many of how often you hear your voice. Now here the point she's making is the moment you say something and um, the person on the other side tells you, "Oh wow, you got a lovely voice." No, but but I am finding your voice has got a very good very tone. They call it very tone. I mean, like it's heavy. It's heavy, and if certain qualities are added to it, it can become phenomenal. And it is not becoming phenomenal because you crack your sentence actually. You stop you segment your sentences at many places. Otherwise, your voice is good. You have that heaviness in your voice. So I would say that you must fall in love with your voice because it's 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 quite nice. It's quite nice that you got that quality already. Your voice would sound much better when you speak on mic. Yeah, when you're speaking on mic and you are talking to someone. But then now I notice these things many times. Whenever I call people, say the other day I called you for the course, right? So I make several calls like this, which are cold calls. We call them cold calls when we don't know each other, but then we are talking to each other. And when we make such cold calls, you actually come to know the real thing from the other side. Now, when I don't know somebody, like I yesterday I made a call to somebody, and it was from Maharashtra, definitely, no, of course. And he was a professional. He was a working professional. And when I called him, um, and I asked him, or what I asked you also the other day, that have you put in inquiry in up our communication skills course? And the other person from the other side, you know what he says? हाँ, डाला है. Now you tell me, when you are practicing communication, when you want to go for communication course, at least you must have at least 20% of that with you, some sense. Now, when somebody is responding to you like that, you you will automatically rate him low, that he's even below rating for me to take up as a student. Absolutely horrible, I must say. I mean, I would say that when somebody talks like this, I would say he's not to be treated as a professional at all. It makes a sense. At least you say, yeah, I had put in inquiry, but then I don't want to go for it, or I want to go for it. But at least be sensible. Show some attributes. Show some good attribute of yours. Right? This is what is voice as a tool for communication. My communication stopped there. I did not go further. So whenever you are on communication with somebody, try to do your best. because you're not seeing each other, but you can sound better, right? You must try that all the time. I'll be creating that magic with my voice. All the time I must be creating the magic with my voice. And then, the moment the next time the person thinks, he would think that I would talk to the same person who has spoken to me last. I wish, I wish that is the same person who talks to me. Now, I understand that, there are various means of trying it out, but then you can always do it with your you can always do it with, say, your. Now what will happen, I'll just to try a trick. Now I know that it'll be very difficult for you to check the quality of your voice and whether it is attractive or not with with the male counterparts. But when you talk to some female, you will get it tested very fast, because when you're talking to female, you will be extra courteous. I'm damn sure. Anybody, any man, you will be extra
Right.
courteous. And then when you are extending your courtesy, and when you're speaking and when you're completing your communication, at the end of that, if it ends well, you must consider that you have done your job well. But then, as a professional, we need to really hone these skills. We need to really sharpen these skills of ours. How to talk, how we should be talking. I mean, it's not that when somebody's in front of you, only then you should talk nice. So voice is a tool. You will get instant feedback. And there's one more fact that this lady said. She said the moment you speak on phone and then the other person does not know you, they start making the image of yours in their mind, that this person must be looking like this. They will form the image. Him, with your voice and with the voice and tonality, they will be able to make a picture out of you. Yeah, he's a heavy voice guy. He must be heavy. He must be having this broad face, and must be almost looking like this. It happens. And when there is a voice and there is a good communication, that's when we say कि आपकी बात में वजन है,
Right.
और जिसकी बात में वजन नहीं है, उसका तो फिर चलता रहेगा, लेकिन ऊपर नहीं जाएगा ग्राफ, चलता तो रहेगा. But here we're discussing about how to move forward, how to go ahead, how to go up in the graph.
Right.
So we have to think about that. We have to think about that. Now think about all your conversations that you normally have, and think of the conversations that you're going to have now in future. You must take care of this. That assume that whoever you are talking to is actually watching you. Just assume that. Then how will you behave? You will behave definitely different. Now just imagine a situation that somebody comes home. A saleswoman comes to your home to sell some stuff, and you were taking bath, and you just open the door just wrapped in towel, because now there is nobody and you have to open the door. But had you known that there is a sales girl outside, will you come in towel? No. When you are cognizant of this, when you know, you will not do that mistake. So why not always assume this? Why not always assume the worst circumstances and then act? because that will prompt you to always do your best. You will never do any mistake. Always you will be perfect. That's why your default settings needs to be changed always. I think we have already had one session where formal and informal communications we have discussed. That how this. I think we discussed in um, slangs when we were discussing about US slangs. I gave you formal and informal styles both. But my suggestion that time was also that you must do a setting of your language in a formal style only. No informal, only formal. Just make your setting. Default setting should be formal. It is not harmful at all. But if you set it up to informal, then when you're talking to your seniors, you will again behave like an informal communicative person, and that's where you will do the mistake in the among the panelists where there's something good to talk about. Anupam Kher, another person. So these people have developed themselves and with time, and then they have realized that it's important. It's important for us to groom ourselves, and they have done it. And once they have done it, now they are free because grooming yourself, at least for once, is a one-time activity. Later, you have to only be continual with it. You have to only be working on it slowly, steadily. That's it. All right, sir. Take care and see you tomorrow. Bye, sir. Bye. Take care.